All right, let's talk about a feeling that basically defines our modern hyper-connected world. I'm talking about FOMO, the fear of missing out. We're going to break it all down.
You know that feeling, right? It's that little pit in your stomach when you're just scrolling through your phone on a quiet night. It feels like everyone else is out there having the time of their lives, and you're not. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, then you're in the right place.
So what is FOMO really? I mean, it's more than just being jealous, right? Absolutely. Psychologists actually call it a form of anticipatory social anxiety. It's this wild cocktail of your brain looking for social threats, expecting some kind of reward, and that really deep human need we all have to just belong.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to look under the hood and see what's actually happening inside our brains when FOMO hits.
It turns out there are 5 main psychological drivers that kind of fuel this whole thing. We're going to break them all down, and we'll start with the one that social media has basically put on rocket fuel.
Okay, so social comparison theory. It's this idea that we, as humans, figure out our own value by looking at everybody else. And social media, it has put this impulse on absolute steroids. You're sitting there comparing your real, messy, behind-the-scenes life, your actual self, to everyone else's highlight reel, their curated ideal self. And FOMO, it thrives in that gap right between the two. It's what creates that constant nagging feeling that you're somehow falling behind.
All right, next up is something called self-determination theory. It basically says that all of us have 3 fundamental human needs, and FOMO zeroes in on one of them like a laser, our need for relatedness. So, when you see your friends hanging out without you, your brain doesn't just register, oh, I missed a party. No. It flags that as a legitimate threat, like you're being kicked out of the tribe.
And of course, our brain chemistry gets in on the action. You know, we hear a lot about dopamine, but it's not just about feeling good. It's about expecting to feel good. So you picture some amazing event you're missing, and your brain goes, ooh, reward coming. But you're not there. So you get this thing called a negative reward contrast. It's that antsy, restless feeling that has you compulsively grabbing your phone to check what you're missing. It's a loop.
So that restless, antsy feeling, it makes our minds play tricks on us. These are called cognitive distortions. And when it comes to FOMO, our brains are absolute masters at taking a tiny possibility, like, missing one little thing, and blowing it up into a full-blown catastrophe.
Like this one. If I miss this, I'll regret it forever. That is classic catastrophizing. Your brain just leaps to the worst possible conclusion, turning what is probably a pretty minor event into some massive, life-changing regret.
Or how about this one? They'll forget about me if I'm not there. This is called mind reading. You're just assuming you know what's going on in everyone else's head, that if you're not there, you'll be instantly forgotten. And let's be honest, there's usually zero evidence that that's true. And finally, where you come from, your past, it really matters here. For folks with what's called an anxious attachment style, their nervous systems are just kind of hardwired to be extra sensitive to feeling left out. So for them, FOMO isn't just missing out on fun, it can feel like a genuine fear of being abandoned. You see how all these drivers start to pile on top of each other?
Okay, so we've got the psychology down, but that still begs the question, why is this feeling so intense? Where does it really come from? Well, the answer isn't in your smartphone. It's way, way older than that. It's deep in our evolutionary wiring.
I love this because it just lays out the core problem so perfectly. See, your brain's operating system was developed back in prehistoric times, in small tribes where being included wasn't just nice, it was literally a matter of life and death. If you were excluded from the group, you were in big trouble. Fast forward to today, and you're missing brunch. The stakes are just a little bit different.
So here's the bottom line. Your nervous system is running ancient survival software on modern hardware. It literally cannot tell the difference between a real, life-threatening exclusion and, missing a concert your friends went to. To your brain, the alarm bells sound exactly the same.
Okay, so we get the problem. It's deep, it's wired in, but here's the good news. We are not powerless here. We can absolutely do something about it. So let's talk about some practical, science-backed ways you can actually hack your own FOMO.
All right, the first and maybe the most powerful tool is a total mindset shift. It's about flipping FOMO on its head and embracing JOMO, the joy of missing out. And look, this is more than just a cute acronym. It's a genuine reframe. Instead of seeing a missed event as a threat, you start seeing your choice to stay home as an intentional act. You're not being excluded, you're choosing to protect your energy. It puts you back in the driver's seat.
Next up, we have a technique that comes straight out of therapy. It's super simple, but not always easy. The next time you feel that pull, that FOMO urge, don't grab your phone. Just for a second, pause. Notice the feeling. Give it a name. Ah, okay, this is that anticipatory anxiety. And then, this is the most important part, do nothing. Just sit with it. What you're doing is training your nervous system, teaching it over time that, hey, this isn't actually a life or death threat. And slowly but surely, those alarm bells will get quieter.
And hey, let's add a few more quick tools to your toolkit. You can try cognitive reappraisal. Ask yourself, what am I actually gaining by staying in tonight? You can reduce those dopamine triggers. Seriously, just turn off the non-essential notifications. It works. Or practice gratitude. Focus on what you are doing, not what you're not. And a big one, start making choices based on your real values, not just on your ego's desire to be seen.
Okay, let's bring this all home. We can actually boil down everything we've talked about, the psychology, the brain chemistry, the ancient wiring, into one single powerful equation.
I want you to picture an old-school balancing scale. On one side, you've got all the things that feed FOMO, the social comparison, that feeling of scarcity, low self-worth, that dopamine anticipation, all that heavy stuff. And FOMO really takes hold when the weight on that side becomes heavier than the other side, your satisfaction with what you're doing right here, right now.
But here's the really cool and, honestly, the most empowering part of this whole thing. You don't have to fix it all at once. You just have to reduce one of those variables. Just take a little bit of weight off that heavy side of the scale. Maybe you compare yourself just a little bit less. Or maybe you focus a little more on your own moment. Do that, and the whole scale starts to tip back in your favor. FOMO's grip gets weaker.
So there you have it. You have the formula. You know how it works. The only question left is, which one of those variables are you going to start with?